Hi, my name is Maria,
Hi, I'm Monica,
and welcome back to Vixen's Victorious
and today we're going to talk about the...
History of Netball.
Yes. Well, when did history begin? When did netball start?
Okay, so that's what we're gonna tell you. I need to sneeze actually.
Bless you.
Thank you.
And the clock.
Okay, so do you want me to start from the start?
Well, netball has had a long history.
Yes, anyway. Let me start. So in 1891 in Springfield, Massachusetts, a 30-year-old Canadian immigrant to the USA, James Naismith, I think that's how you say the name, was ordered to invent an indoor game for high-spirited young men at the School of Christian Works, later the YMCA.
Yeah.
Okay. Most games tried ended with injury rates of staggering proportions, so Naismith conducted a game whereby a ball had to be lobbed into a high pitch basket. Basketball was born with the original game featuring 9 players, 3 forwards, 3 centers, and 3 guards, simply because Naismith had 18 youths to keep amused.
So it started off as basketball.
Yeah, no, it did. It did.
What we call today basketball.
Yeah. And later you'll figure out why it's now netball.
Yes.
Okay, I've told Mum this already, but I find it kind of hilarious. Anyway, women's indoor basketball began exactly 2 days later when female teachers to the gym were captivated by the game, but it wasn't until 1895 that the current game of netball was well and truly shaped. When Clara Bear, a sports teacher in New Orleans, wrote to Naismith asking for a copy of the rules. The subsequent rules package contained a drawing of the court with lines penciled across it, simply to show the areas various players could best patrol. But Bear misinterpreted the lines and thought the players couldn't leave those areas. So
It's just how you read the instructions and interpret them.
it's like the Bible.
It's like everything in the law.
COVID restrictions.
We won't go there anymore.
I find it funny how Australians were actually placing bets on the colour of Gladys's jacket. Like, that was a thing that people were doing. They're betting on the colour of her jacket in every press conference.
What can I say?
Australia, mate.
We'll just bet on 2 flies walking up a wall or up the door.
Literally, though.
They do.
Australia's a special kind of something.
We're a special kind of breed.
I know. Anyway, so in 1899, her mistake was ratified into the rules of women's basketball as zoned. So it was women's basketball, and then it became netball.
Yeah, because there was no bouncing of the ball.
Yeah.
And people stayed to those specific areas.
Yeah. So 3-bounce dribbling had quickly been extended in the men's game, but was seldom used in the women's version when it reached Britain and the Empire. In fact, there was no pressure to increase that form of ball movement, and in the end, dribbling ceased to exist.
Well, when you think about it,
There's no need
when the
for it.
Poms, that they go, oh, why do you want to dribble on a ball?
Wow. Okay.
I'm sorry, that's...
Wow. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm
joking.
leaving. Oh, did I show you what I did? I showed you the video of what I was doing. I had to clip it in, but like, I did have Bulldog Bias with Dad, and in the middle of Dad and George talking about Alex Keith, I did that little jingle dance for no reason. It's funny.
But
I was laughing at myself for hours.
But yes, things changed when it hit England.
I think everything does.
Everything changes when it hits England, I'm sorry to say. But when you look at the uniforms, how they started playing in those long skirts, it's amazing nobody really tripped up as much. And it was played on asphalt.
Mm-hmm. Fun. At least you had the skirt to cover your knees.
And when you used to come down on those asphalt, when we used to play outside, yes, it was brutal.
They say netball is a sub-sport.
It's not. Talking to someone who's broken a wrist, broken it, really badly sprained with tearing all the ligaments and tendons.
All I've done is an ACL.
And that was during squash. I did all my injuries during netball.
Anyway, let's get past. Okay, so netball was first played in England in 1895. I keep on, because my first instinct is to go 1995, not 18. It takes me time to realize I have to process it.
Yeah, it's a whole century ago.
At 1895, what's that?
Madame Austenborough's College.
In the first half of the 20th century, netball's popularity continued to grow, with the game being played in many British Commonwealth countries. There were no standard rules at the time, with both 9-a-side and 5-a-side versions of the game.
Well, we do have 5-a-side versions of the game now, because that's
Fast 5.
That's the Fast 5.
It's very interesting, actually. It's so intense.
It is.
But I don't think they played it then like how we play it now.
No.
Okay. During an Australian tour of England in 1957.
Before I was born.
Way before I was born. Discussions took place considering standardising the rules of the sport, and this led to representatives from England, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa and the West Indies meeting in Sri Lanka in 1960 to establish the International Federation of Women's Basketball and Netball. Formal rules were established in the inaugural meeting, and it was decided to hold World Championship tournaments every 4 years, beginning in
Eastbourne.
English names in Eastbourne, England in 1963.
And then since then, World Championships have been held. Australia 67, Jamaica 71, New Zealand 75,
Trinidad and Tobago 79,
Singapore
83,
Scotland
87, Australia
91,
England
95,
and
New Zealand 95.
New Zealand,
New Zealand
99. Through the Spirit, Australia has dominated, winning the event in 71,
71,
75, 79, 83, 91, 95 and 99. Woo!
See, we were dominant.
Still am. The 2003 World Netball Championships in Kingston, Jamaica, saw New Zealand finally breaking the Australian dominance, taking gold. The 2007 World Netball Championships was due to take place in Fiji, but a political coup in the country led to the event being transferred to Auckland, New Zealand. Despite home advantage, how do you get home advantage at a netball court?
Well, it's being played in your country.
Yeah, but like with AFL, it's like because like in cricket's the pitch that gives you the advantage because you're used to that sort of. But like technically, all netball courts the same.
Technically, but it depends on how they're built.
Okay.
And the bounce of the floor.
Okay. Don't you think they would have made it all the same?
Yes, but there'd always be slight little eccentricity.
Okay. So thank you for the knowledge. Thank you for squash.
It's just like squash courts.
Oh, there's accidents. Squash courts are shocking. Anyway, despite the home advantage, England were unable to defend their crown, and Australia were once more world champions, as always. Australia retained their title in 2011 in Singapore and 2015 in Sydney. As a part of the Australian bicentenary celebrations in 1988, the youth tournament took place in Canberra for players aged under 21. Its success led to this event being held once every 4 years. Fiji hosted the second World Youth Netball Championships, calendar the third, and the fourth has just taken place in Wales. Australia were the winners in 1988, New Zealand in 1992, and Australia again in 1996 and 2000. At the 2005 World Youth Netball Championships, that's a mouthful. Held in Florida, New Zealand won gold, England silver, and Australia took the bronze. That's a lot of.
Yes.
Yep. And then in 1995, netball became a recognised sport of the International Olympic Committee. Still not an Olympic sport.
No.
And one of the federation's objectives is to ensure its status is retained and to encourage the International Olympic Committee to include netball in the Olympic Games program in the future. Yeah. Netball was included in the Commonwealth Games program for the first time in 1998 in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, which is also the same time squash entered the Commonwealth Games.
Yes.
Which is interesting. Where Australia took the gold medal, New Zealand silver, and England the bronze. It is also a programme sport in 2002 Commonwealth Games in Manchester, England, where Australia again took the gold medal, New Zealand silver, and Jamaica edging out England for the bronze. 2006 in Australia, Melbourne, Australia, and 2010 in Delhi, India. New Zealand beat Australia, and England won the bronze medal. Netball is now a core sport in the Commonwealth Games, with the next editions to be taking place at Gold Coast 2018, which that already happened, and I think we came second.
Okay. This is something read from a book that somebody wrote from La Trobe Uni about the sport of netball. It says here, early Australian versions of the game were played with makeshift equipment including broomsticks, wet paper bags and washing baskets.
That's so funny.
That's how we started off our dominance.
That's funny. That's funny.
It is. The rules were also flexible and were often passed on via word of mouth from those who had prior experience.
Oh my, that sounds like chaos.
This is how our game started and how we got so into it in Australia. You know, had prior experience in playing the game. Netball was initially played indoors, but soon included outdoor matches as the number of participants were outgrowing the venues that were originally being played in. Open courts were an important contributor to the game's early growth, since they were easy to construct and not costly to maintain. Now, I've played on those outside courts, and when it's cold and windy, and you have all those factors that factor into playing the game.
That's hard.
It's hard. It says here, netball was introduced to Australia as a preferred alternative to women's field hockey.
Oh.
Another game I also used to play. I've been mirroring the history of the game, my life. This occurred on the grounds that it was less demanding and less rough and tumble, and it was perceived as a less masculine activity for the girls. But I can tell you, it's anything but less masculine. Do you want to hear something else?
Sure.
About our history of netball?
Uh-huh.
Netball was seen as a space for the socialisation of women within specific behavioural boundaries, and as a means through which to develop sound morals, strong leadership and exemplary citizenship, aimed to instil a set of values that emphasise respectability and polite behaviour. In 1916, a publication of the game stated, and here's with, yes, I agree with you, good temper, pluck, determination, extreme agility of mind and body are traits universally found among netball players.
They try to make it sound...
And the best of all, perhaps, the inexpressibility, happy attitude, esprit de corps. It assumed that netball would socialise women into the norms, values and manners of middle-class culture. So it was used as a cultural tool.
I can't. Bruh.
And the idea that netball is a women's game is still evident in the beliefs of many Australians and is seen as no threat to men. But now there are men playing the game, and there are men's teams and men's competitions.
I'm sick of the sexism.
But there's sexism throughout.
Anyway, yeah, so yeah.
That was cringe-worthy, wasn't it?
I want to unalive myself. Anyway.
Boy, we'd be in trouble if we were playing at that time.
Oh, yeah, I know. So in 2008, I saw the launch of Fast Net World Netball Series, a shorter, sharper version of the game, which in 2012 evolved as Fast 5, attracting new audiences around the globe. So which is interesting, because you get 1 quarter where you get double points.
Oh, 1 quarter?
Yeah, so each team takes 1 quarter where you can do double points.
Oh, cool.
So it's like, it's either 1, 2, 3, but then when you do double points, it's 2, 4, 6.
Okay.
In 2012, also saw the sports governing body unveil a new logo and renamed itself as the International Netball Federation. We hope that you will join us in the netball. I mean, I'm already here, so. Yeah.
But can you imagine combining what it was, how it was considered when it first started, to what it is now?
It's massively different.
It's massive, and it's not being played in long skirts with sort of sneakers, but
At least if you fell in those long skirts, it would protect your knee a little bit.
but also to rip the skirts when you play. But I prefer the indoor.
I'd rather rip my skirt than rip my knee open.
Oh, you can still rip your knee. But considered how it was to how it is now, yes, you look at those women in the top level that are playing now. They have to be so in tune to their bodies, so much at peak fitness. There is so much training going on. And they have to watch their diet as well. And there's diet specifications as well. There's lots. Because when you have a look like at those uniforms that you see there, that's around Bubba's time.
Can you talk about how different sports science is? When Dad was playing AFL, he got told to eat steak before the game.
Now,
And it's just like, don't.
it's because that just sits so heavy in your stomach.
Tell me this.
It's not.
I like eating rice.
See, rice is good, pasta is good.
And chicken.
Chicken isn't fish. Because it helps, and it
Just
feeds
everything
off.
has changed. In
It's just, everything's changed,
It's
especially
changed so
with
much.
fruit and vegetables and everything. The diet, even of the elite AFL players, the elite, what we call proper football, which is soccer,
That's changed so drastically.
everything's
Even the
changed.
workouts. That's like, we used to just train like 3 days a week. I
The
was like,
workouts, you have to use the gym before a proper game workout, before you practice matches.
Funny.
You know, you do your stretching, you do your warming up before, you know, your
And
stretches
cooling
before the
down.
game and the cooling down. Because otherwise, if you don't, that'll lead to so much injury. So there's a lot to take
I
in.
know it's changed a lot, and it's going to continue changing.
Sorry?
It's going to continue to change.
Oh, it is. It's going to always change. Ever since the world, is revolving around change, we've got to change with it. Whether it be in our sport, you take a look at squash. Because of Jahan Khan, they've changed the scoring of squash, where it used to be you used to be only be able to get a point when you served. Now, it's both sides get a point. Doesn't matter who serves and it's the first 1 to
You used to have double faults.
15. But we don't have them anymore.
Mm.
There's just one fault. If it happens, unlike with tennis, if the ball's on the line, you
It's
can
out.
still play it in. But if it's in squash on the line, it's
It's
out.
out.
So, and when somebody's new coming, changing from tennis to squash, it does do your head in a bit.
Yeah. Anyway, that'll be it for us for this week.
Until next week,
Yeah, we don't know what we're doing next week. We'll find something to do.
pick out something.
I'll do some. You can just make a Q&A. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll write up questions and
Questions,
answers.
yeah.
Until next
Until
week.
next time. Bye.
Bye for now.